word. Serious very recently. He pursued me. And trust me, our private relationship had nothing to do with work. He'd been promoted long before I ever went out with him.
You were seeing him secretly?
He asked. I'd prefer to describe it as discreetly. I helped Human Resources put together the corporate policy years ago, when the company was so young. No problem with dating or marrying inside the company, but not within the same department. According to that policy, one of us would have had to change departments. Obviously, Kurt would have to make the change since he's the subordinate. But his only experience is in PR, and my department was the only place he had a good fit. We worked well together. Or so I thought. Harry shook his head.
You were instrumental in putting that policy in place, Jillian. In fact, if I remember, it was your idea in the first place.
She scooted to the edge of her seat. Yes, but it wasn't developed because of the threat of sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is never consensual, and it's never confused with dating. It's always extortion of some kind. The Human Resources team, were concerned about complaints inside departments from employees alleging promotion based on favoritism. That's why dating within a department was a bad idea. We also created a policy saying employees shouldn't be late, shouldn't dress inappropriately, and shouldn't park in the president's spot. She got a smile out of Harry for that. It was a small smile. I thought, given time and training, Kurt might be a good successor to me. And before you ask, my opinion isn't because I liked him, but because there was no one else more qualified. I know how you hate to go outside the company to fill positions if there's opportunity internally for our employees. The seriousness of this situation was becoming brutally apparent, and Jill took a moment to pass her hand across her brow and then gaze across the room.
Well, that's a coincidence,
Harry said, passing her a folder.
Kurt sees himself as your successor as well. Have a look at this.
Jill's hands actually trembled a bit as she lifted the cover of the folder and looked at a collection of memos, emails, printouts of text messages, and miscellaneous notes. The first email she looked at came from her, and it said, "How am I doing? I could use a shoulder rub." Harry, this had nothing to do with a relationship. After a grueling meeting, he emailed me and asked me how I was holding up. In fact, she looked closely at the date. She shook her head. I wasn't even dating him then. She would have to plow through months of old emails, months of deleted emails, months of inane, trivial messages. Then there was a page of text exchanges, and highlighted in yellow, from her cell phone, was the message, "I miss you." But this is completely innocent, she said, turning it toward Harry. I'd have to check my calendar, but I think I was out of town. And I did. I did miss him. And in that instant, she knew what he'd done. He'd set her up. God, she muttered. Playful messages between two people who worked for the same company. How did I never smell this coming? How could I have been so wrong? A glance through some of the pages revealed similar brief, affectionate comments that any woman